as I've watched you play as teammates and um, some things that I feel like I couldn't do and felt, I guess, for me, like uncomfortable with when I see you beat the crap out of some guys. And that's like was one of your roles and things that you brought to the team. Could you explain to these younger players and kids what kind of like how you dealt? I mean, I'm sure you felt uncomfortable at times going into a game, whether you had to fight someone or had to defend against someone, how you dealt with that and how you overcame and became a better player with that
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Well, actually, I think I was never a fighter growing up. Like, really. I mean, and it wasn't until that time in Oshawa where he said, "We're sending you back. You're going back to Kitchener. You're not going to play in the OHL." Okay, well, I need to stick around for another few days. Like, what do I do? Well, I know that you get in a fight, everyone loves you and stuff. Win or lose, you showed up, right? And by the end of the OHL, I was one of the heavyweights for sure, probably top 3 or 4 in the league. But it's tough. It's tough being a fighter, and it's never going to be like it was before because no one's going to have 35 fights a year anymore. You're not allowed, right? So that was a grind, and that you got to have a few screw looses to do that. But to be honest, it was that feeling of oh, the boys loved I did that, or Warren got hit from behind. I went out there and fought Bugard or something like that. Like, how much respect do you gain from your teammates? And I would respect guys that I saw that would fight for their teams. And Brett and Cameron, who ended up being a captain in Greenville after me, he came. He's not a big guy, but how much respect do I just get for the guy right away? He's fighting with a broken nose and all this stuff, so. It's tough, and it's mentally it's draining, and I know a lot of guys have problems after hockey because of it. Because when I was in the A and fighting, and these are real tough guys, and they're all huge, and guys like DJ King and John Scott, Brugard, all these animals. It was tough. It was tough going into the game, but I kind of fed into the role. I'd be in warm-ups, my hair down to my chin, like skating around, like here we go, and walking the red line and stuff. I loved the fans. I loved. I remember in San Antonio, have jersey auctions after the game. Guys like Bomeister's, you're in San Antonio, Texas. People don't really know much. Bomeister's jerseys going for $400, and we had guys like Gregory Campbell, and then my jersey's going for $2,400. I'm a rookie in the A. And, so I like that part of it too. And that keeps you going a bit too. But when you're in a fight, it's the only way to learn is to be in it. And if you never lose a fight, then you're fighting the wrong guys. Like, because, that's a Yablonsky quote who I fought about 6 times, Jeremy Yablonsky. Guy was missing his neck. And it was one of my first fights in the coast, and I find out after he's a Gold Glove boxer. I'm like, oh, geez, what am I doing? But that's. I mean, I can go into details about once you're in a fight and stuff, but squaring off in a sold out barn and playing against Chicago Wolves, and you're fighting Francis Lassard or whatever. It's a rush, but it's also you're sitting there being like, I'm not fighting Brandon Long. I'm fighting a guy who knows what he's doing. And there's always, I think the draining, the mental aspect is you just don't want to get embarrassed, and everyone does eventually. Look at Bugard, and guys do get knocked out. Everyone, you can name me a tough guy, and he's been knocked out. And I got knocked out by Brennan, and that's your fear. That's what motivates you, but. You just grab on, start throwing, keep your chin down. Like it's for real when you're in there, and I think it makes for strong personalities. And a lot of guys I know that are fighters are the best guys I know. Guys I would go to war with, and these guys, it's different mentality, but they're doing it for the team. That it's not easy to do. I'd much rather would have been Austin Matthews, and I would have no surgeries and stuff like that and be able to do that, but I didn't have that luxury. Yeah. But
I think
tough.
as much as it's I think these old school followers, the dads and all that would love to hear all these things from your perspective, and how you went, what you went through to play higher level in the AHL and into the NHL main accounts. But it's also not the fact that we're promoting the fighting. It's what I'm trying to do is relate, what the battle and the fight is like towards them playing in the game. Is they need to just don't be it's easy for us to say now, but don't be afraid to fail or be embarrassed in their little battles, but just try and give her and push and learn all the time. And that's
Yeah,
how they can become better athletes and players.
exactly. That's really my whole career. And like starting out in the 8th round pick to Oshawa, when I was 16, I shouldn't have played. I played with all kinds of guys, even in the OHL. Like I just barely made the OHL, but I could name on one hand the guys that even played pro for longer than a year. Brian Allen was a stud. He played in the NHL for a while. Trevor Gillies, he played a long time pro. Um, you know, a handful of guys. So why did I made a good living, and some people say, oh, you never played any regular season games, played a lot of exhibition games in the NHL. That sucks. It's like, yeah, it does suck, and I was pretty close many times. But man, I had a good career, met a lot of good people, made a good connections. You're a good, honest person outside the rink. You meet these season ticket holders. You go golfing with people that are are season ticket holders, stuff like that. And these are just connections you use. And then hockey players, like you, like we have friends all over the world. Like I can go to Europe and probably find a place to stay, and because you meet all these people, and you're a good person to them. You weren't some guy that just selfish, just like that. So the game of hockey can gave me a lot of avenues. Gave me my first year pro when John Brophy was my coach. Google John Brophy. This guy, next level. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he coached the Maple Leafs, and treated Russ Cortnell, who had 50 goals, straight up for John Cordick. Like this guy, like who was just a meathead, and he taught me like just hard work. Like you get to the rink, and you're walking in, you're 10 minutes early, and he's yelling at you to get your running shoes on to go upstairs. And Zenon Konopka was with me that year. And me and Zenon Konopka, who he played in the NHL for a while, we were the only two rookies that made it all year on that team, because everyone else either gave up, quit hockey, asked for a trade, So, but it makes you stronger, and that's that whole mental toughness thing is basically how I played for a long time, and use it to my benefit, really.